To every single person backing me on Patreon, you are the heartbeat of this journey. Your belief in what I do transforms simple ideas into the content you see here. And it is the reason I can dedicate every day to this mission. It is more than just support. It is the fuel that keeps this creative fire burning and allows me to show up for you full time. If you feel called to help build the future of this podcast, scan the QR code on your screen and join our community. A special thank you goes out to Cal Tourette, Mark Estrada, Ann Trin, Shahira Marina, Savannah Wolford, Lorena Garcia, Jamar Meeks, Martin Cabrera Pavez, Elena Sosadeco, Diego Navarro Lunares, Kay Fernandez, Rodolfo Fernandez, Lucius Lau, Taylor Hunter, Jackson Frazier, Allison Stalker, Muna Chisonweek, Elizabetta Maria Mengado. Thank you all so much for supporting me on Patreon. All right, well, welcome to the ADC Podcast. I am your host, Andres Isaac Alvarez, and I'm here with a very special guest, Christina Mijares-Doung. Did I pronounce that right? Hopefully I pronounced that okay.
You got my first part of my last name right, but Duong.
Duong.
That's my... Yeah, I added my husband's last name to mine, so I have both. I represent both my last names.
Nice. Very, very nice. I want to say, I don't know if we've met in person. I know we've worked at similar studios, but always at different times, whatever. But I'm trying to remember if I ever actually got a chance to meet you in person or if I just knew you online. I definitely know your work. I've definitely been a huge fan of your boards for quite some time. But did we ever meet in person, or was it just online?
Did you? I mean, did you ever go to Bento Box?
I was there, but I'm not sure. I was on Duncanville, so I'm not sure if you were at the same time, or I'm thinking it's 2019, literally right before COVID hit. This was like right before, and yes, I don't know if were you there around 2019?
Yes, I was. I was actually there on season 1 of Central Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 19.
I believe I was. Were we across from you? I think we were across from another show from Comedy Central. It was a very risque show about a police dog, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I'm not sure if we were in the same building or not. But the building I was in, I think it was North Hollywood, and I remember I loved the building because it actually had a gym downstairs, so I would always get in early, and then I stopped commuting, by the way. I want to say the last 5 years of before COVID, and I was doing the metro, the commuter bus, and then I had an e-bike, and they had this really nice kind of enclosure for my e-bike, and then I'd go do a little, by workout I mean just kind of watch the TVs. I didn't really actually work out, but just a cool down time, just relaxation, and I'd go upstairs and try to get some work done. But were you at the same building?
No, I was in the I believe the Burbank Bento Box buildings. It was this little courtyard area. There was a Bento Box. There was Crunchyroll, which I was previously in the months before Bento Box, and then I just went across the courtyard area.
Nice.
And there was part of Disney TV in that little courtyard area.
Okay. Nice.
So it was Bento in Burbank. That's where I was in 2019 at Bento.
Very cool. Yeah, we were definitely in separate buildings, but I mean, is Bento everywhere? I know they're in Atlanta, they're in LA, and I'm trying to think if they're in Australia. Oh, that's right. I was gonna say Paris, but is that? I'm thinking maybe that's Titmouse or something. Somebody went to
Titmouse,
Paris. Okay, I'm like
Paris,
somebody
yeah.
went.
There's Princess Bento, which is in Australia right now.
Oh my gosh, I'm just so in love with like everything that's coming out of Australia. Like, I really feel
Yeah,
like just the spirit of them is so incredible. Like, I know you're doing some teaching right now too, and I've been doing teaching for a few years, and so many of my students are always like pointing me towards stuff coming out of Australia. They're just big fans of Glitch Studios, and you know,
yeah.
I thought it was interesting too because one of my students, literally is like we're about to start a session, and he's like, "Wait, I can't start yet because I'm actually waiting for like this pre-order time so I can pre-order these plushies," and I'm like, okay, like, so we're gonna push our time because you have to have flesh. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I love this show. So I started looking more into it, and Glitch has an amazing like merchandising, sort of like arm to its cartoons, and I think that's so brilliant. How they just kind of create their own economy and develop their own projects, and I think they're just doing some really incredible. I think Gaslight was the last thing I've seen from them, and
There's they announced
is there something new?
Lackadaisy. Uh, Lackadaisy is based off like a 1920s during the alcohol prohibition era, but everyone's
Oh,
cats.
okay.
Uh,
Nice.
they also just announced Gameoverse. It's Ross Donovan. He used to be in Aaron Hansen, Eagle Raptors comedy skits and all that.
Okay.
They're putting that series out. I have a really good close friend. She's a production coordinator there, Jenna Howard.
Whoa.
She's there on that. That's just got announced. Yeah, just Glitch is really throwing it out of
Mm-hmm.
throwing it out of the ballpark with shows and also, like you said, merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see merchandising come around again because there was just a time of like not that many toy or like clothing like
Or you had to wait for
time.
like Hasbro or like one of the majors to like start developing toys based on whatever you're watching. And if you didn't like what they were doing, it's just like, oh well. But I like how these like production companies are actually like taking it upon themselves to say, hey, like we have a fan base and we want to keep making content. So let's start, creating merchandise. And who doesn't want to have like some kind of keepsake to take with them, from their favorite show? So it's like, you know, I feel like
That
we're artists, but we're also like collectors too. I feel like, as you can see in my office, I collect toys. I collect like what every little thing. I'm constantly collecting. My wife calls it hoarding, but I like the term collecting.
I definitely also like you don't. There's nothing behind me, but I definitely like exclusive plushies. Like I have exclusive video game plushies. I
Oh,
have
nice.
yeah from Elden Ring. I made sure to
Mm,
pre-order. I pre-ordered a
nice.
plushie Expedition 33, that video game. I got a bunch of little Pokemon figurines. I
Wow.
even got like I have two small merch from a show that I worked on. I worked on Disney Junior's Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures,
Oh my
and
gosh. So
I
exciting.
had yeah, I had to rep the show, so I bought a little. One of the characters is like a blue little like koala kind of looking character. He's
Oh,
super cute.
nice.
Bought a plush of him, and I bought a oh, I don't know if it'll show up on the video.
Oh, a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, there he is. Oh, there he
There we
goes.
go.
Yeah.
Put in my face. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little
Adorable.
from the show. I would always try to like I
Wow.
always tried to like sneak in that cat during my episodes. It didn't go through, but it gave my directors a nice laugh whenever I would try to
Oh,
sneak
they
a
caught it. They would always like catch it, and
yeah.
I would try and always sneak in a version of my wife because a lot of times I'd like work on sequences, and they're like, "Hey, if you want to do some like background, characters, you can." Because usually it's like, "Oh, just do some lollipop heads or something in the background." But if they allowed me to, I'd always try and sneak in people I knew or. It was just always this like fun thing to try and get away with, like, oh yeah, like, I got so and so, in the episode or something. But I love that
I
the playfulness of working in animation.
yeah, you could just like add like you can always plus up the script and everything. If you have the time, it's so much fun to do that. Just like an extra expression or an extra little bit of action. I love doing that at my boards. I love
Hmm.
uh if I with time management and everything, like, okay, I have some time left over before turning this into my director or something. I'm just gonna add maybe a little bit to plus up the acting or plus up a line, a dialogue read, with some more facial expressions. I just love doing that, especially if I could add in some
Yeah.
little stuff. If it doesn't make it through, then that's fine. At least trying to like plus the script and everything, and like
Right.
hopefully it can be final. Like, for example, I in a million years I didn't think this would go through. When I was at Wild Canary Animation, and I was on their show, we were part Wild Canary partners a lot with Disney Junior. I was on a show called Puppy Dog Pals, little cute preschool show, and
Yeah.
I just decided the little animal characters, they're like little like dogs and cats. They were on a little skateboard, delivering ice cream, and just for the fun of it, I had one of them, the little cat, do an Akira slide. Do you know about that?
Oh my gosh. You're kidding me.
I snuck that into my board.
Excuse me.
And in a million years, did not think it would go through, but it actually
It
went to
went
final.
through.
It went through final. You could see it on Disney Plus and
Oh
everything.
my
A little
gosh.
orange cat doing an Akira slide in a preschool show.
Those kids are gonna grow up and be like, actually see, Akira and be like, where have I seen this before? Like, what the heck? And they're gonna think like, oh yeah, like, I know where I saw that.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
Yeah, again, like
brilliant.
just probably one of my favorite things that like I've done and it made it to final. Like that's
Oh
a
my
little
gosh. I was gonna say, like, just random question, like, in terms of storyboarding, like, do you have a preference on like how you like to work? I know, like, right now there's sort of like, obviously, like doing timed animatics is, kind of the norm. But then there's also I've been seeing a real big resurgence of people doing sort of a click through where it's like, you're just clicking with the arrow and like, kind of doing this more sort of a click style storyboard without dialogue. Um, do you have a preference on how you work, or does a production usually say, "Hey, you have to do an animatic," or?
production actually for most of my career, like since breaking in and starting in 2014,
Hmm.
I've just gotten used to doing timed animatics and presenting those and everything. I've never had to do a click through,
Oh, okay.
even though that is traditional. I've presented all my boards as timed animatics, as instructed by my production and directors. And because I got used to that, I honestly don't mind working like that. I genuinely enjoy getting the scratch audio that they provide, boarding to it. As if I have time, adding my little sound effects if I have time.
Oh, that's
Um,
fun.
and yeah, and being able to see it as a timed automatic again, I was it of course it's going to go through like a post-production like really finalized editing version, but my timed automatic that I present to the directors and everything, I generally like seeing it like as if it's going to be the final product and everything, and
Oh, wow.
that's why a lot of productions do that. Like they want to see the timed
Hmm.
automatic just to get a feel of how it's going to look, how it's going to play, which drawing panels can we omit or add plus up and everything. And
Nice.
I got used to it because when I started in 2014, I started well, first I started at Titmouse. That was just a small gig, but when I went to Renegade Animation, I was there for 4 years, and I was
Great studio, by the way. Love that studio.
yeah, I love, yeah, Daryl, like, and his all the studio it was
Was
a
it
great
Ashley?
nice.
Ashley Postleway? I'm trying to
Yes,
remember her last name.
yeah, Ashley Posaway. Yeah,
Passway. There we
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was there for 4 years, and that
Wow.
was lucky for a non-union studio.
4 years.
Um,
What a run.
yeah, yeah. I'm super fortunate. Like I'm super grateful that I was there for 4 years, especially with being non-union. But because it was non-union, I had different hats on. I was a mix of like a
Oh,
revisionist. I was a timed animatic editor. I was a board artist. Back and forth, all those 4 years.
wow.
And because I that was my base of like helping time out animatics. That helped me go forward in my career and everything, like being able to draw like according to like being it timed and everything, roughly timed, of course. Um, and then that translated really well to my own personal work. I like, of course, I like drawing outside of studio work, but I
Hmm.
genuinely also like making my own personal animatics or GIFs. My Instagram is like full of them. I like either like if there's a comic idea that I have, I maybe I want to do it as an animatic instead, and that will give me more freedom to like make more acting choices and everything. Or I'll take a clip of like one of my favorite video game streamers. They'll say something funny, and I'll take that clip
You'll
and
just
I'll
say
make like an
it.
yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite, by the way, are of you, your husband, and your cat, I believe. And you're constantly like having all these little scenarios, and like I feel like you post like maybe like at least one or two a week, new ones that are just like super funny. And I just love that, like, there's these little like moments that you capture in your life, especially the holidays. I feel like you always have a really great holiday gift that you do, and they're so funny. Oh, I love those.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, again, yeah, yeah, like how I like to just like express like myself and like how was it how like things that happen in my life. Like I could do like a Twitter post, I could do like a blue sky post or anything, like, oh, I did this today. But I like just saying like presenting things like visually and just
Hmm.
like popping it. Like I like doing like funny, I like taking the ordinary day by day things and just like just like plussing them up also, like kind of like a script, like
Yeah, exactly.
just do like a funny either comic or animatic and everything. And since I've been working from home like for the like since 2020, a lot of my inspiration comes from my
Right.
cats, my life, and my husband, of course.
Yeah. I
Inspirations.
like
I
2020 was, I think, huge because like my wife's job uh went, from home. Then, our job went, from home. So like suddenly like we were like coworkers, which had like never happened. We're always like going our separate, my wife doesn't do anything creative. She's like in finance and stuff. So, we couldn't be more opposite in that respect. And then suddenly like we're kind of almost like we took our living room, and like one half was like my office and one half was her office. So, we'd basically be in meetings. And sometimes she would have to like, I'd have to tell her when I'm having a meeting because some of the shows I worked on were like adult, So she's like, I can't hear any of the any cursing or any of that in my meeting. So please let me know when you're going to have your meetings. I think it was definitely Chicago Party Ant was like one show in particular that kind of had a lot of potty humor and that kind of stuff. So she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so weirdly unprofessional." But to you in your career, it's totally professional, to work on this crazy stuff. But I do like that you've had and something I feel like I relate to you with is like working on preschool stuff and then working on like adult animation and kind of like I don't know. It always felt kind of like a really nice break from one genre to the next. I don't know if you felt that when you would work on like something like kid friendly and then you'd work on something for like a college audience. Um,
I actually I when I was doing so Tom and Jerry, that's what I was doing at Renegade. That was a kids and family
oh,
show.
nice.
Then I jumped onto a dip to another I jumped onto a teenage show at the time at Crunchyroll, and then I jumped over to adult comedy at Bento Box.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I was like all kinds of different genres, but definitely my favorite genre to work in,
Uh-huh.
especially after Bento Box. I needed I needed a change of pace. I needed a change of pace after Bento Box. So luckily, I got hit up to do a preschool show, the one that I mentioned with the skateboard animals.
Nice.
While Canary hit me up, so that was definitely a nice change and breather from working at Bento Box. At that time. And so far, I've really loved working in the preschool genre because
Wow.
this
Very
cute. Like it's
nice.
definitely my favorite to work in. The scripts are super cute. Most of the preschool shows are kind of on the RCG animated, so you could be rough, loose with the boards. You don't
Yes.
have to be on model, which was a breather after Bento Box. 'Cause my drawing style is very on the loose, more expressive side. So working in CG preschool shows was definitely right up my alley, and I
Nice.
just really loved working with it. The crews are always super nice on those shows too, and everything. And yeah, it's just preschool shows have just been like a really good, really feel good genre to work in that I've been very grateful to have the chance to be in over the
I
years.
couldn't agree more. When I was at Renegade, we were doing some Sesame Street stuff, and I think this was the only time I ever thought about this in my career too, because this is, I'm working on different stuff. I remember just before that, I was on uh, a show that was like heavily like R-rated. And when I was on that, my wife's like, "Don't you care like if kids see this or something like what you're working on? I mean, like, don't you want to put like good stuff out into the world and like just wholesome stuff?" And I honestly was like, I never thought about it. To me, I'm just like a hired gun. Like whatever I'm needed for, I just jump onto that and that's what I am, for the time, I'm working on a production and then, you jump on something else. But after that, what she said kind of stuck with me. And when the Sesame Street thing came through, I immediately jumped at it and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to try it. I want to give this a shot and go for something that I know is going to be good for kids. And I felt really good doing it. Like there's just something inside that felt really nice knowing that like because the stuff I was working on was like more teaching kids, definitely telling stories and songs and stuff, which actually I found to be quite challenging. Was boarding songs. That was something I wasn't used to coming off of like more sitcom style stuff. But it definitely presents its own set of challenges, for you. Like in no way is preschools like an easy thing. I think preschool shows can also be very, very challenging, but I have to agree with you on the CGI shows where you don't necessarily have to be what we call on model and have the I think other than the sizing, I think the sizing still is like can be somewhat of a problematic if the sizes are really off, but you can like really express yourself drawing wise and not worry about like things having to be so like perfectly on model. One other thing for our audience too, like it's funny, like the questions I get after these shows. So people are kind of confused, like when we say Wild Canary, Titmouse, Bento Box. What does that mean when you're working for them? But then when I go to streaming and I pick up, Hulu or Disney, and I see that show, like so basically, like, can you explain like uh, how that works? Because a lot of people get confused when we talk about the actual studio doing the actual physical cartoons, and then it shows up on Disney or Nickelodeon or any one of these spots.
Like people get confused, like they don't know like the studio's like names
I
or
think they just think like if it's a Disney show, it's being produced at Disney Studios when in reality, a lot of these times it's like an ancillary studio that's hired by Disney that actually does the actual work itself. You know,
yeah, just like with me on the I was at Wild Canary, but we were partnered to do Disney Junior shows which air on Disney Plus.
hmm
And if the parents and kids do pay attention to the credits, they will see a Wild Canary Animation logo at the end. But generally, the general public will just pigeonhole like, oh, that was made by Netflix, that was made by Hulu and everything, that
Right.
was made by this. It's really only our like industry and our like will know of the
Hmm.
studios and everything, of course. That's why usually when I tell like family and friends that like, oh, I work at this studio, some of them will get it, some of them will be like, oh, what studio is that? And then I'll further explain that like, oh, I'm on a show that is gonna air on this app
Right.
and everything, so that they could like relate to it or not.
Okay.
Or sometimes I'll have to say that, oh, I'm working on a show. I can't say what it is yet, but it, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
you wouldn't imagine the amount of questions I got. They're like, but why doesn't Disney just do it themselves? And like they, for whatever reason, they thought like, this other studio is not as good as like Disney or something. And I'm like, no, no, like the level of talent is pretty much the same. It's just you're being hired by another, studio, and it's just a normal thing. Like honestly, it was kind of weird when I first got into the industry, and I was like, wait, what the heck? Like, okay, like I guess, you get hired by this other place, but technically it all airs, whatever network or streaming app that's going to be, having it. Just to kind of go back a little bit too, um, like in your sort of early times, developing as an artist and everything, um, did you come from a creative family? Did anybody else in your family like draw, or did you just show up and like, kind of set the tone for everything?
yeah, there's no creative well, my parents and grandparents, they did not fall in line with any artistic creative animation in jobs and careers. It's me and my cousins that really went forward. Our generation went into
Mm,
the creative field. Like I went into, of course, the animation industry for storyboarding. My cousin went into graphic design. My other cousin went into it's a type of like animation engineering, but like programming like lights to appear in a
oh,
concert
cool.
areas. Has a technical a technical animator. I believe that that's his
Wow.
yeah, it's us that actually our generation that the our creative side and everything.
Wow.
And knowing that I wanted to do that, like of course being inspired by so many animated films like in the 90s and everything, inspiring me and motivating me, I took the risk and I went to I went to Cal State Fullerton to get my BFA in entertainment art and animation. And I knew for a fact that like I wanted like I need to get two internships in me, like for my resume and for my senior year. So I
Right.
super, and that motivated all our animation club members. We were all really good friends. That also motivated them like, oh, let me get two internships too. Let me get that too. Like, yeah. It's great for our resume and everything. We were always boosting each other up.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, I did I interned at, sadly they're no longer present, Film Roman studio.
Film Roman, yes, the Simpsons studio, right?
Yeah. They first did this. I was on a Spider-Man show interning. Then I interned at Titmouse. Uh, and I interned at Titmouse. Then I graduated.
Wow.
I took some classes at Concept Design Academy. I
Great school.
Yeah. Humbly, I wanted to get my skills up further after graduating. So I did at the time in person classes at Concept Design Academy. I did a year and a half of boarding and life drawing focused classes. Then
Nice.
my connections at Titmouse when I interned, they hit me back up for a small gig from a little bit in like 2013, 2014, like late 2013, early 2014. I did a small gig there. That was super awesome. A lot of my friends from Cal State Fullerton made it into Titmouse at the time too.
Nice.
Um, Small gig there, and then that led me right into Renegade Animation for 4 years. Then small break there at the end of 2018 because I got married. So uh,
Congratulations.
at that time, small break, got married. Then luckily, I got into Crunchyroll Studios, jumped over to Bento Box,
Wow.
jumped right into Canary. Wild Canary, I was there for like about 4 years. Then right now, with the industry being in a slump, I've been luckily, thank goodness, I've been still being able to do storyboard freelancing. I've been freelancing. I This past year and a half, I've been freelancing for Nick Jr. Um, for
Wow.
Moonbug, the UK studio. And Wild Canary hit me up a little bit for some freelance also.
Nice. So you've been
Yeah, yeah,
staying busy. I mean, that's excellent.
yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
The freelance is on and off. And the year and a half has been tough. But with this new year, I'm just trying to go forward positive. Luckily, I still have the Moonbug freelance under my belt. And yeah, I'm just trying to go in this further year on a more positive
Yeah.
outlook, positive moving forward and everything. Because you have to. You have to like just
It's
move
very
forward and stay.
I mean it's very incredible when like, and I want to say like, post COVID, like that time was just booming. I remember having like so many projects like coming at me. I literally was like turning stuff away because I'm like it's just too much, and then suddenly like things, slowly started to taper off. And I'm just like, huh, that's kind of interesting. Like, my usual, contacts were like, looking themselves. And I'm just like, oh, that's kind of weird. How are we all looking at the same time? That just seemed like really bizarre. But yeah, as things started to slow, um, yeah, it was a very surreal feeling. It kind of like led to, us, me and my wife leaving California because we're like, hey, like, her job is doing really good. And she's like, hey, like, we can live in Texas, for a quarter of what we're living, in California. And she's like, you can keep doing your creative stuff and doing freelance and all this sort of, what you want to do. So, I don't know. For us, we thought it would be a much better, kind of thing for us. But yeah, there's definitely things I miss, from California. Still got a ton of family there, but I actually have a lot of family out here now. And turns out too, a lot of people from the industry out here too, which was kind of surprising to me. I'm like, what the heck? Like, you're out here and you're out here. So like, I definitely have people to hang out and draw with, which, I'm not just like, hanging around by myself, But that I did that a lot in California too. Like I had this thing where like I never would thumbnail in the studio. Like this is again before COVID. I'd always either go to the mall, go to a coffee shop, and like get my script and just like bring my Copic markers and literally just tear my script up. I remember
Yeah.
I was sort of old school. Like I had to print my script out, like it had to be like on paper, and I just needed to just draw all over it. Like it looked like one of my assignments from like high school, where the teacher's like, "Can you please stop drawing on your homework?" Speaking of that too, like in high school and like around those years, did you sort of like know that you wanted to do this? Like what kind of like gave you the confidence to say, you know what, like I want to be, working in animation? I don't even know at that point if you were like, I want to be a board artist or a character designer, an animator. Like in that time, like what was giving you the idea to do this as a career?
In high school, yeah, I or like just my younger years in general. Like I mentioned, I was super inspired by a lot of things in the '90s, especially of course Disney films, WB animation, early DreamWorks, like all that was like, and just Saturday morning cartoons, just all
Nice.
the animated, like all the good stuff we got in the '90s. Just really super inspired me. And that just I just wanted to be a part of that. I just wanted to I love drawing already. As a kid, love drawing, making my own characters and everything, and seeing that like people make stuff and everything and tell these stories. I wanna do that too somehow. Like little me said, I want to do that somehow. So I took some art classes in high school. I took some art classes in high school. At that time, I had a vague understanding of like a storyboard artist. Like I back then, my only interpretation was like, oh, they help make the story before it goes to animating. I didn't
Okay.
know the nitty gritty details of it. I saw a little bit of like behind the scenes when they used to put that on DVDs and VHS, or no, specifically
Yeah,
DVDs. DVD
DVDs.
did behind the scenes and everything, and I would see clips and parts of like storyboards and everything, and I wanted to do that. I really liked the idea of planning out the story and all that, especially since I was doing like little comics like as a kid
Right,
during.
right.
So that propelled me. That definitely propelled me into college and everything. And just that feeling of like I just want to tell stories, mostly funny stories. I want to tell stories, heartwarming stories, funny stories, and I just want to help like make that happen. And
Nice.
that's when I certified, like focusing my college on storyboarding and everything. Being able to like being in the planning and prepping process, of making like either an animated film or animated TV series. That yeah, that definitely is like what motivated and inspired me, and
Did you ever
it
come
still does.
across? I don't mean to cut you off, but did you ever come across? And this kind of did it for me back in the day when I came across. I want to say it was like actually in the library too, which is a sacred place for me because my mom would like work late hours, so I'd have to stay at the library until she could like pick me up after school. And it
Mhm.
was Batman the Animated Series, but the book, like the making of the series. And I remember like flipping through it and actually seeing like storyboards, and I remember like just like you thinking like, oh, these are like almost little mini comics, like stories told in sequence. And years later, still not really knowing what it was called. I remember like, my first job just being like, oh, okay, like, because they'd said, hey, you're gonna, do a test for storyboard revision, and I'm like, what is that? If you can imagine, that's how green I was. I didn't even know like what the name of the job meant, but I knew I loved to draw, and I knew I loved like comics and stories and sequence and stuff. But that book in particular really like was incredible. And believe it or not, one of the guys who worked on the series, this guy named Darwin Cook, ended up being my one of my first directors that I worked with, and he had, my gosh, so many storyboards from Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, which I think he helped develop with Bruce Timm. And I just thought it was just so magical. Like suddenly, like the stuff you grew up with, you're like now rubbing shoulders with like the people that like inspired you, and you didn't even realize, oh my gosh, this whole community of people that did all these like amazing things, and a lot of them were still working. Did you meet anybody like any of your heroes from any of the shows you grew up on in the industry?
I did work with a lot of people that did, of course, work on like things that I like watched and love. Like definitely two examples. Is I worked slash interned along with him on the Spider-Man show back at Film Roman. Steve E. Gordon. He was the character
Oh,
designer
wow.
for a bunch of animated features, but my favorite one was X-Men Evolution.
Nice.
And that's so cool that like, oh my gosh, he's the character designer. He designed the color. That was cool. And then of course definitely at Wild Canary, and I'm so again so lucky and grateful that he wanted to hire me on. Elliot Bohr. He was
Wow.
a Disney creator for a lot of 90s films and everything.
Wow.
Um, he hired me on at Wild Canary. He really liked my stuff to keep me going on two Disney Junior shows back to back in those 4 years. And like him and I definitely like bonded over like Disney, especially Kingdom Hearts stuff. Um,
Oh,
and yeah, it's just really it was just really cool and very inspiring and grateful that like wow this Disney animator like hired me on board and like on his show and everything. Like it's really
meanwhile,
really
you wore
everything.
out the DVDs that, the movies he probably like did, and um
Not the DVDs, the VHS.
oh
I
the
wore those out and
oh
everything.
wow. Okay, I don't feel so
I
old now. I'm like, oh, she's probably like, definitely the
oh,
DVD era, but wow, so
no,
excellent.
I started on the VHS. Dude, my first VHS was and to animation was Land Before Time. Don,
Nice.
yeah,
Donkey.
that was specifically my first VHS. My mom told me it was the very first one she gave to me. It's one of my first memories of it. And
Wow.
my mom is a big collector, so she saw that I really liked animated films, and she liked them too. She really liked the detail in them. Also, she collected every Disney animated feature on VHS. Every
Wow.
till the last one, I think Home on the Range. I don't
Ye-
know if Princess and the Frog made it to VHS, but definitely Home on the Range was my last
wow.
VHS, and she collected all of them for me.
That is so incredible. Like, I just love
Yeah,
that, like, parents just can, it's funny, my daughter is 2.5, she's gonna be 3 in May. But I immediately got out my old VHS, my old player, and like she absolutely loves taking the VHS, putting it in the player, hitting the button. Like, there's just something about that feeling of like actually like doing something, watching the little
yeah,
mechanical thing go in, and suddenly like the whole movie starts to play. But yeah, again, like I said, and just seeing like all the little beginning stuff where it's like the trailers for different movies and other stuff that would get you so excited. And this is probably like a little before your time, but there was a time where like it was very controversial for stuff to go on VHS because Disney would only allow movies to come out a few, like every few years. They'd allow like Pinocchio or Bambi or like Dumbo to be in theaters, and that was it. Like, I don't think it even would be on like TV or anything. So when VHS came out, those movies were like $80. They were super expensive. I remember my mom, and dad, God bless them, they didn't have the money to like buy those, but my aunt did. So every time like a new Disney thing would release, she'd have it, and then she'd say, "Bring Andy over." Everyone knows me as Andy. Bring Andy over because I know he loves to watch those, and I'd come and any scrap of paper, I'd just be like, drawing, drawing, drawing. And, it was such a wonderful thing to see people like around us, see that, wow, this person has a spark of something, let me encourage that. When you decided to go, pursue this in college, what was your parents' reaction? Were they like happy? Were they nervous? Were they like, what was what did they say when you're like, hey, I think I want to do this?
they were fine with it. They were super. They were okay with it. No nervous feelings or anything. They were fine with me in pursuing whatever I wanted in college, and I just, I
That's
actually
good.
at yeah, they were super encouraging. And they didn't mind. They didn't mind at all. I'm just happy that like I made something out of it. Thank Um, but I of course like I first at first I tried to like do like for vet medicine
Oh, okay.
career route, but that was gonna be way too expensive. I'm not good at math, and that a lot of years in school
Oh,
that
geez.
I also didn't have the money for.
A
So
lot of debt,
that
right?
yeah, so that went into which luckily going into animation, I did not fall into debt. Thank goodness.
Oh, good.
Financial aid super helped out and everything. My
Wow.
parents were my family. We were not on the most financial prospects, so I saved every financial aid penny. Just a
Amazing.
lot of savings. mindset and everything, savings. I got a job like right away when I turned 16. Like I need to start,
Whoa.
like,
Do you mind if I
yeah,
ask what you did? Like where what kind of
I was a part-time cashier at GameStop. That was my first job.
nice. Now, so that
Yeah.
explains the gaming so you're I'm guessing too, like did you grow up, like me, just constantly being like obsessed with video games and playing
Yep.
everything? What was your first console?
Oh, okay. My first, um, it would be actually, okay. First is a handheld Game Boy Color, and it was a see-through purple one.
Whoa, wow.
I remember getting that at Christmas in 1998. I got it for Christmas, and I got Pokemon Yellow with it. So that was like the
Exciting.
first game, to my own and everything. Then they got me an N64 and a PS2, and then like I
Wow.
GameCube and everything. But knowing that like this stuff is expensive, I got a job like right away when I like turned 16. Like I got a job right away, just so I could afford like my own stuff and not
Yeah.
hinder my parents. Buy my own stuff, and also I just knew, again, seeing my parents' situation, that I should save money.
Mm,
Um, going into nearing adulthood, like I should start saving money. So I just got into that mindset, and I've just been just working like since then. Um, yeah, I was working at GameStop for a while during college. I had to break so I could focus on schoolwork. But yeah, thank goodness through like
yeah.
thank goodness through work and like trying and just saving money. Like I used my degree, I got into my career, I broke in and everything. And times are rough right now, but thank goodness for freelance and everything. So
Right?
yeah, just thank goodness for everything. Small wins, lucky breaks is all we can ask for.
Absolutely. I remember like what it felt like, and I'm sure you remember this, before you got your first, big, job in animation, and a lot of times it's not great circumstances, you're working, a regular job, like you're just doing your thing and, just dreaming about, being a professional artist. And will this happen? Will I ever like get the opportunity to do this? And I remember like after that happened, thinking to myself, like, I've made it, like, oh my gosh, like it's done, I've climbed the mountain. But I sort of noticed that like each time I'd finish a job, I'd almost have to start all over again because it's like, okay, you work for a certain amount of time, and a lot of people don't know this. You get usually a start and an end date at the same time. So they're like, hey, this is how long we're gonna like, need your position for, and then usually you could, maybe stay an extra like month, maybe stay a little extra time over your end date. Um, what was your strategy, for instance, like if you were coming to the end of a production? How did you line up your next gig? Especially in like the days before the slowdown.
Oh yeah, before the slowdown. I would, knowing that, I would right away, knowing the end date, about like 2, 3 months prior,
Mm,
about 2, 3 months prior to my end date, I would just start like messaging friends, messaging past coworkers, looking up online, just checking in, like hey, like I'm ending my gig soon. Is there anything I could jump onto, either like through messages with friends, or online and everything, at least like 2, 3 months prior. And then
wow.
for the past 10, uh well, yeah, the from 2014 to 2024, that thankfully, luckily, worked in my favor. It's just, of course, now with the slowdown right now, it's really hard. But I think that's where, during these rough times, the sense that the most important of community, friendship,
Mm-hmm.
and that really keeps us together. We can converse with each other in the industry and studio and everything. Like, hey, how you doing? We could check in on each other, help each other. Hopefully, like land jobs and everything work together. Like hopefully like the sense of community like works within the studio and outside the studio. Like, within the studio, we're making an animated story where we're through our collaborative efforts, we're making something happen all together. Outside of the studio, like, hey, let's keep each other afloat. Let's
Wow.
give each other encouraging words, which do help a lot. Super appreciate all my friends like during these rough times. And just also just keep it in check that, hey, is there any availability at this studio, or just simply, it's simply as like, hey, I haven't seen you in forever because of everything that's happening in the industry. Let's go have lunch, let's go have coffee, or let's go
Wow.
get a boat, let's just catch up and everything. Like, let's like, it's just good to have that sense of
Camaraderie,
camaraderie.
right?
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Just yes, a sense of community is just so we know we're not all alone in these times, and we just really need that right now.
Yes.
Just a sense of community and everything within everyone.
I think a lot of people I've talked to, especially on the podcast, they're like, "Well, did I do something wrong? That I offend somebody? Did I miss a deadline?" Like you immediately look inward, and say like, "Oh, it's something I've done, to cause this slowdown for myself." But that's the worst thing that can happen is like you just kind of like get into your own head and you don't realize that there's other people who are also going through these tough times. I think like in a very like good way. I know for me personally, I feel like it's made me appreciate things a lot more because there was definitely a time where like I sort of felt like it was like owed to me. I'm like, oh, like when's my next job coming? Like how come so and so's not getting back to me? Like I kind of like started to see a little bit of like a toxic thing in my own personality developing, where I'm just like, oh, well, like the next opportunity will present itself to me. I know it will, it always has. And when it wasn't, I was like, oh my gosh, like I honestly felt that feeling like I had like before getting in, and I remember thinking to myself, like, there's nothing written that says I won't have to continue to fight, for my dream, for the rest of my career. And now I think more than ever that's apparent. Like I remember this one scene from, I forget which of the Rocky movies, but I remember Rocky's trainer said, "I didn't hear no bell," like the fight's still on, no matter if it's good times, bad times, whatever. You're still gonna have to fight, for everything you have. And like you said, hopefully that will definitely keep you hungry, through the good times and the bad times, because they both have. I sort of feel like today's like climate, it's almost like the ocean. It has to like come into shore and then it has to recede. Like it has to. Nothing's gonna last forever. Bad times or good times. So it's like us having to develop that within ourselves, to really be able to combat those times when they do arise. I think this time in and of itself is definitely unique. In gosh, I think I'm 27 years in the industry this year now, but in those 27 years, definitely this slowdown has been the most incredible one I've ever seen. But hey, like when I first got in, people who got in the industry way ahead of me were like, hey, we had tough times too. There was times where there was no work and everything. So I almost kind of felt like, was it a rite of passage? Every generation has to like experience, some kind
Nope.
of, right? Like some kind of something, but I think even though it's a tremendous amount of like pain and uncertainty, it's still worth it. It's still worth it to, turn on our Cintiq or, open our sketchbook and just dream, like transport ourselves anywhere we want to be. And I just think it's such a privilege, and I feel so lucky to have been given that gift, for however long, we have it. And I do feel like, your posts in particular, especially on LinkedIn, I'm like a huge, LinkedIn person, and your posts are just always so positive and uplifting. Like I just really appreciate that about you. And the fact that, like, again, the times can be extremely dark, but you're choosing to look at the light and say, you know what, like, I understand, this is tough. The industry is asking things of us that are truly difficult, but you're not stopping, you're not quitting, you haven't heard that bell yet.
Definitely doing my personal work and everything, be it an animatic, a board, or a GIF or anything, that I do, like, yeah, that keeps me going. That has really been keeping me going, like, this past year and a half. Yeah, it I like on I recently, like, I did an uplifting animatic mostly for myself.
Mm.
My first idea was going to be like a sad venting comic, but then part of me also honestly rewind that back, and I was just telling myself that, like, why do I want to just add to the negativity? Why do I want to add? Why do I want to, like just make myself sad? Why do I want to do
Yeah.
that? Like, I honestly truly like making funny stuff. So I made this recent animatic that, like, I still express that, like, I, of course, going through hard times in 2025, and I'm just worried about my future. But I gave it a little, like, humorous twist at the end of as a motivation to me that hey, keep on going, keep on moving forward. And I did it. I made that for myself, and I like to share it online, and it actually helped a lot of other people too, which I'm really happy that it does. I'm really happy to hear from you. Happy to hear from
Yes.
people that say that my stuff is, like, super heartwarming, positive, and all that. I super appreciate that, because it keeps me going. I, it keeps me positive.
Yeah.
We can't be dreading or falling down. Like, we have to just keep on going and everything, and doing those things, for me at least, like, it keeps me going
I,
for it.
I feel like too, like, I'm speaking for myself too, like, my spouse has been very supportive, of me during this time. And, you know, um, I feel like, again, just having that partner in your life that believes in you, even though, like, the times are very difficult. And, I know for my wife in particular, she's, helped kind of like shoulder a lot of, like, the fact that, like, I'm not bringing home big paychecks like I was before, doing, back to back things. Um, but she's still like, hey, like, keep being creative, like, find other things until that next thing comes through. Um, because, I always felt like too, like, when I first got into the industry, people are always saying, like, have something going on the side. Teaching was that thing for me personally, but because they said, like, every job you're ever going to have is going to come to an end, and that's just the truth of it. And I kind of felt like, oh, well, I guess I know the future. I guess I know that, like, no matter what I do, it's just, every project has its start and its finish, and that's totally fine. So I always just try to find things that I can do outside of that, to stay busy creatively. um, and I think now more than ever, that's been, a huge thing. I know recently you started doing some teaching. Like, what is that like? Kind of relating to. I'm not sure, like, what ages you work with or anything like that, but what's that been like? Relating to students now.
It's definitely a different mindset, from working from a studio and taking director's notes and everything. Yeah, I landed into, again, just like you said, gotta keep ourselves, like, busy and everything. And if you can creatively, that's great. This, thankfully, is still art related. I'm doing, like, part time after school art classes through a teaching company that I'm employed with. I drive out to different schools, and it's like 1 hour, 2 hour after school classes, um, that I'm teaching them art stuff. and everything. Like
Nice.
I'm I'm teaching sometimes like sculptor classes, or I'm teaching painting classes. But because of my resume and resume showing to the company, they prioritized me on anime, comic, and cartooning classes for the
Oh,
kids.
nice.
So they told me that I get first priority on those
Nice.
because kids and all that, and I'm super happy that I do, because that's definitely the more like fun drawing classes.
Nice.
And yeah, I teach a range between first grade to fifth grade kids. So
Very
these
nice.
are super like young kids, and they're super eager to like want to draw and everything, draw, paint, work with clay. And this new experience mindset has definitely been rewarding. Just seeing them super excited. It's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a different mindset experience, but it's a nice rewarding one, because we're working in the animation studios, and we don't see like our if we're working in a kids show or something,
Hmm.
we're not gonna see like their experience with what we make and everything. We just
Right.
hear about it like, oh, it made this much ratings or all that. Or luckily, if we have like nieces and nephews, we can see their reactions. But
Right.
the art teaching classes, seeing them right away, especially like teaching them how to draw, teaching them how to paint, teaching them how to be creative and expressing their own voice in their artwork, that has been really sweet to see and everything. Seeing them like
Wow.
draw little characters and all that. It's yeah, seeing it firsthand has been definitely really, really rewarding, and definitely a different experience and mindset experience versus me working 10 years in a studio like environment. Being
Wow.
hands-on teaching, yeah, it's been fun and rewarding
You know what's
with
gonna
it. Yeah.
happen, right? Like the next like great huge animation talent's gonna come out of one of your classes. You know that's gonna happen, right? Like
I had
you're
that was a thought that never came through my head. Like, gosh, that could happen.
they're
Like,
gonna be doing their their commentary on their huge hit film and be like, yeah, I took this class, and this teacher was just she was amazing. She worked on stuff, and she had such a huge impact on me. And I feel too like throughout my life there's been several teachers that have been really really wonderful to me. um, I was very fortunate that my dad was, my first person to bring me into drawing, or actually ever see someone like draw in front of me. And, that was something that was just so magical. And now that I'm a dad with my daughter, anytime I'm on my Cintiq, she absolutely bursts into the room, like jumps on my lap, takes my stylus from me, and she calls it Cully, and she takes my stylus and starts drawing, and I can't tell you like what a feeling that is to like see, your child come to life, or she loves mermaids right now. Mermaids are like everything. So I've drawn, I want to say close to like 30 mermaids for her. Um, by the way, Ariel has to be on model. She does not like Ariel to be off model. So my Ariels right now are like on point. Like I've studied the model sheets. Like I'm like, this is gonna be a proper Ariel for you, you know.
that's super.
Yeah.
Was it uh rewinding a little bit back with the supportive
Oh
like
yes.
family support system and everything? Yeah, I was gonna relate to you too, that like I am also like I'm so happy to I'm so glad to hear that your wife is very supportive and everything. Like I'm super grateful and happy with my husband too. He is not in the animation industry. He's complete opposite also, like your wife. He's a math teacher. He's a math
Whoa.
teacher. Yeah,
Your worst subject? He's like
I know, right? I know.
I'm horrible at
He
math too, by the way, so
yeah, which is why we went into animation. But no, he thank goodness he's during this rough time, he's been very supportive, just like your wife, like very like, hey, I want you to still be creative. It's what
Mm,
makes you shine, makes you light up the room. Like, you drawing, you talking about like animation and everything, that's still you, Christina. Even though I don't have like a full time studio job or anything, he still sees me for who I am. Like I'm still
Mm.
a creative person that still likes to like express my voice through like drawings and all that. And he's super supportive and like doing like letting me do that. Um, Thankfully he is able to support us right now at this time, since the storyboard freelance and like part-time art teaching, as great as I'm glad that I have them, but they're not bringing, like you said, they're not bringing in like the
Yeah.
money like. And yeah, I'm just, of all the support groups that I have, like the animation union members, art friends that I have online, my family and friends, he is definitely, of course, like my number one person
Wow.
that's helping me through this rough time. And I guess that's just a sound thing, like for the listeners, have a really nice support system around you, just a nice community support system that you can bounce ideas off creatively, but also maybe you could reach out to them when you're having a rough time, like
Mm.
you can support each other. It's just very important, like, and it's not just our career, it's not just our industry and everything, other careers and everything, uh other employments and everything. It's just good to have a support system, community ring to have with you. And that's just what a really important thing that we should all have at this time and everything. And I would just advise
Mm.
everyone to just keep close, keep your friends, family, found family, anybody like that supports you and loves you conditionally or unconditionally, have them around you during these times.
Wow. I mean, what amazing advice. A lot of people don't, also talk about, and you and me can relate to this being married, like the guilt you feel, like I feel like so much has been put onto my wife, that, I could see like, financial strain, on her and, her working late hours and, like, for me, I try and do as many little things as possible, make her coffee in the morning, like, have her, you know, favorite thing on, TV, soft music playing, like, just getting her day started, in the best way possible, because I know that like she's making huge sacrifices, so, I can spend time with our daughter. I think I told you, like, when my daughter goes to bed at night, the nighttime is mine, like nighttime is for me, I do most of my drawing, any freelance that comes in, podcasting, like it's just a time to be creative, and though some days I will like purposely just stop everything and we'll watch, like we love watching Fallout right now, like, we'll sit down and just enjoy a movie together, or like have some wine or, just, me as much as possible just telling her like thank you so much, for just being supportive and being loving and accepting the fact that like we're gonna find ways to, bring money through the door, like you said, however little it's trickling in, it'll continue to trickle in, and believe me, that money will find a place, it'll help somewhere, and, God willing, when things, come back in a very strong and powerful way, we can hopefully give them, a nice vacation or, some kind of, big thank you, say, hey, you definitely, kept this going. But I just can't tell you, like, in such dark times, we have such great people around us, you never know actually until the times are dark, who your true friends are, who truly, is going to stand by you during those times, because everybody wants to be your friend when everything's good, but when everything isn't so good, then it's a little more tricky, so it is very nice, like you said, to keep the people in your life that do love you and, do care about you, because you will need them. This is not something you should ever have to like put onto your own shoulders and just have the weight of it crush you, you know. Um, and again, like I said, that advice is huge. That was actually one of my questions. Like, if you had advice to give, to the students graduating in 2026, industry people, like, what would you say to them, to those people entering this industry, for the first time?
Yeah, definitely what I said in that. I could give advice like on like, oh, your portfolio needs this, or networking and all that, blah 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 blah, all that. Oh, take these classes, but no, honestly, what's gonna get us through your career, your life, all that is just a strong sense, your strong community of the people that love you and all that. That's what's gonna get you. That's the biggest, yeah, that's biggest advice. Like especially after with me working like 10 years in the industry and everything. Like yeah, just friends, family, found family, all that is going to keep you going, like career wise, but most importantly, life wise.
Yes.
Yeah, as much as we need that job financially and everything, and also just creatively too, for our own like sense of like soul and purpose and everything. It's outside of work that's going to matter the most and everything, and that's what my number one support person, my husband, is reminding me that like at the end of the day, Christina, at the end of the day, like you're gonna have like me, your family, and everything. Like that's because like you said too, like projects start and end. Money comes and goes. Hard times flow in and out, but who's gonna be there permanently throughout those times are gonna be the ones that are gonna be with you for hopefully the rest of your life.
Wow.
And that's what truly matters right now, anytime.
Amazing. So, I got goosebumps. Yeah. Seriously, like that is just, from the heart, and like you said, you could just go on and on about portfolio and, emailing this and all that other junk that, honestly, like it's the heart, it's who you are that's really going to carry you, your character, and these rough times, are sharpening you, they're making you not only an incredibly like, powerful artist, which you are, but an incredibly powerful person, because really a lot of people forget it's the person behind the pencil, that's truly bringing you that magic, and I definitely see, some character in yourself where you care about the people around you, you care about other people in the industry and how they're doing. I think that's just such a wonderful thing. I always tell people, like, if you just are a fan of animation, like you are like getting like maybe 10% of what's actually there. I'm like, if you actually knew the people behind it, you would be so much more of a fan, because, and to me, I think that's the beauty of this podcast. I want people to actually like get to know the person, that's actually bringing them their favorite show, because there's so much more to them than just that, and again, like I said, this interview truly proves that, Christina, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast. I know you're super busy with like, everything you got going on in your life, but truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me on, and it was so great to talk with you about like different things, and definitely, yeah, I thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Hopefully next time I'm in LA, we'll all get a chance to have lunch and, hang out and do some drawings or something. Definitely the next Lightbox. I'm looking forward to trying to make it out for Lightbox next year. So, hopefully we'll see, a bunch of friends and everything. But anyway, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast, and I will be talking to you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, take care. Bye. I'm excited to invite you into the incredible world of visual storytelling through my 6-week course, Storyboarding for Streaming. Whether you're just starting out or you are a seasoned pro, I will be right there to help you master the art of thumbnailing, composition, and cleanup to bring your unique stories to life. We will elevate your skills by developing fully timed animatics and click-through sequences. and together we will develop an original project so you can truly make your mark in the animation industry. We will explore these essential industry techniques together online via Zoom, empowering you to transform your creative vision right from your own home. Ready to take the next step? Simply scan the QR code or head over to adcschoolonline.com to join the excitement and start your journey today.